Hello, we are the group Something Fun, consisting of Jonathan Regier, Bethany Bradshaw, Matthew Ferguson, and Riley Heskett, and Moses Rodriguez. We are presenting today. Unfortunately, our client has a problem. Our client being Student StarUp, they have not received the level of desired student entrepreneur applicants. Student StarUp doesn't necessarily know why they're unable to recruit more student entrepreneurs. So Student StarUp would like to increase the number of applicants and overall growth in the organization. So Student StarUp has now come to our help. We would like to identify whether there's an interest in the organization among college students. So to pinpoint the interest, we want to see if students are willing to do a job that involves physical labor, if they're given high pay, and if their willingness varies across class years. This will give Student StarUp a better idea what their target market should be. And our goal is to provide Student StarUp with reliable and valid data that they can use in order to make a well-informed decision. In today's presentation, Bethany will be covering our methods. Matt will be covering our Univariate Hypothesis, which is our students interested in owning a business involving physical labor. John will be covering our multivariate hypothesis, which states are underclassmen more willing to do a physical labor job, and Riley with recommendations. Here is Bethany Bradshaw with the methods.
So to determine whether or not our hypotheses were true, we had to test them. To test them, we created and sent out a survey. Our target population was WSU students. We created an online survey using Qualtrics. Our goal for our group was to get 50 respondents, and as a class, our goal was to get 200 respondents. Our recruitment method consisted of asking our fellow students to fill out the survey. Our recruitment methods was in person and in email, using email. But unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we were only able to ask our roommates and our family members who attend WSU. So email became our main recruitment method. So we used an email list of roughly 3,000 fraternity men's members that was provided by one of our group members. While designing our survey, we wanted to try to avoid multiple errors such as non-response error, coverage error, and measurement error. In order to avoid the non-response errors, we sent out an invitation email that included the survey to our fellow group members to check to see if the link worked and if the survey ran smoothly. If it not had worked, then we would not get the respondents because they wouldn't be able to fill out the survey. So to avoid coverage error, we asked demographic questions that place the respondents into specific buckets. Through these questions, we were able to determine whether or not the respondents fit our target population. To avoid measurement error, our survey did not ask about sensitive topics. Our questionnaire only asks questions about the respondents' level of interest in the subject, such as the willingness to work a physical labor job. In order to make sure the survey was concise, relevant, and easy to understand for the respondents, the group had a survey reviewed by the Student StarUp to ensure that the questions were effective. To decrease the amount of sampling errors, an expert, which was our professor, evaluated our survey for potential errors. We used cognitive interviewing with a couple of our respondents, and these respondents only included family and friends because of the social distancing rule due to COVID-19 pandemic. And next, Jonathan?
Actually, it will be me, Bethany, but thank you.
I'm sorry, I just forgot.
No worries. Okay, so I'm going to be covering our univariate hypothesis. Our hypothesis states that students would rate their interest in owning a business involving physical labor at least a 6 on a 7-point scale. By physical labor, we mean mowing and window washing. And we came up with this definition by looking at the kinds of jobs Student StarUp offers and some additional research we did online. So based on this definition, we came up with two variables. Our first one is interest in mowing, which in the code book was represented by interest_mow, and interest in window washing, which was represented in the code book by interest_wash. As you can see here, we identified the true means for interest mow and interest wash. For interest mow, our true mean was 2.54, and for interest wash, our mean was 2.25. You can see this represented graphically over here. Now the difference between these is very small. It was only 0.29. So student interest between mowing and window washing is not very different. We use a single sample t-test calculator to test the mean of each variable's score to our hypothetical mean, which again is 6. We tested at a significance level of 0.05 or at a 95% confidence interval. Our p-value is less than 0.0001 for interest mow and for interest wash. The mean for interest mow was 32.5 standard deviations away from the true mean. Interest wash was 40.55 standard deviations away from the true mean. Our hypothetical mean 6 is not close to the true mean of mowing or window washing. So we concluded that we do not support our hypothesis, one, because our mean is significantly lower than 6, and our p-value was less than 0.05. So what does this actually mean? It means students are not, quote, interested in owning a physical labor job. Instead, students are, quote, not very interested in owning a physical labor job. And quickly here, you can see this represented graphically. We represented the percentage of students interested in mowing and the number of students interested in mowing. And we also provided some contrast down here in the level of interest in owning a business and the level of attraction to jobs paying $1,000 or more per month. And that is our univariate hypothesis. And now Jonathan will present our multivariate.
So for our multivariate, we are going over our, hold on, let me go into presentation mode real quick. So our hypothesis is that underclassmen are more interested in doing a physical labor job than an underclassman. We define this as our variables being college year, being our independent or X variable, and then our interest_mow and our interest_y as our dependent or Y variables. So we put them into an ANOVA single factor test and segregated all the students by their year in college and ran the numbers, and we found that underclassmen have an interest in mowing in 2.33 out of 7, and upperclassmen have a interest level of 2.737 out of 7. Our p-value was 0.0631 or 6%. In our washing interest, our upperclassmen showed an average interest level of 2.393, and our underclassmen showed an interest level of 2.094 with a p-value of 0.115. Again, you can see this all graphically to the right. And so then we later combined the two ANOVA tests into an average of both window washing and lawn mowing interest. And we found that upperclassmen have an average interest in physical labor being 2.565, and our underclassmen have an average interest level of 2.248 with a p-value of 0.0871 or 8%. So with this, we used an ANOVA factor, like I said, and we tested it at a significance level of 0.05 or a 95% confidence interval. With the p-value being combined as 0.078 and then our interest levels being shown, we found out that our hypothesis was in fact incorrect. underclassmen do not have a higher interest level than upperclassmen to work a physical labor job, especially at the 95% confidence interval. And with that, I will pass it off to Riley.
Just to reiterate our findings, regarding our first hypothesis, we found that the students' average interest in mowing and window washing is significantly lower than our hypothesized mean of 6 on a 7-point scale. Our second hypothesis, predicting that underclassmen would be more interested in physical labor, was rejected. We actually found the contrary to be true. So based on what we found regarding our first hypothesis, we'd recommend a student startup offering a wider variety of jobs. Students are interested in the entrepreneurship and the money, just not the labor. We also found that students are more interested in mowing than the window washing, so we'd suggest promoting the mowing more than the window washing. Based on the data we collected regarding our second hypothesis, we'd suggest moving the focus towards the upperclassmen since their interest was higher, though underclassmen are still important. While we focus on the upperclassmen, it'll give the underclassmen more time to consider applying. We believe if student startup follows these tips, they will see an increase in interest and growth in their entrepreneurship programs. Thank you for your time and your consideration, and we look forward to your questions.